So recently a channel called The Anime Men released a particularly bad YouTube video about anime. I know, one of many, I'm sure. This is a video that united the entire anime community around a single topic. Clowning on these kids, these dumb kids who didn't know what they were talking about. And 18 days later, they apologized for the video and tried to make amends for it.
We aren't here to defend ourselves. The video we made was just outright garbage, and every person critiquing us is 1000% valid, and honestly, we deserve all the backlash that's coming to us. Let's just be honest. Everyone is calling us fake anime fans, clout chasers, and most importantly, the T word. And although we disagree with those labels, the video makes them out to be 100% true, and we have no one else to blame but ourselves for that.
And despite the mass anger this video initially caused upon release, the original one anyway, people generally liked the apology. I was going to make a compilation, essentially. I had done a live stream responding to the original video where I pointed out every one of my individual critiques of it. But it was a long video, so I wanted to make a highlight reel of it. And I was editing it when the apology came out. I'm scrapping it. I'm scrapping it and replacing it with a video that makes sense. One that I think is more meaningful than just a reiteration on previous frustration about this whole thing. The Anime Man apology video argues they became the most hated people on anime YouTube. Now I think that honestly goes to the anime critic who murdered his entire family a few years back. One that I did see back in the day. But like, it makes you think, doesn't it? What are we more angry about? An actual criminal who attacked and hurt people? Or a couple of kids that made a bad media take? Well, I would normally say it. Well, obviously the criminal, but looking at the reaction the original video got, I think it might be the bad media take. People were talking about this all over the place. People were angry. And granted, it did say a lot of dumb stuff, but are we really more angry at a bad media take than crime? Now, I will say up front that unlike a lot of vocal critics of the Anime Men, I didn't love their apology. I still have several criticisms of the original video that this thing did not address. Mainly about their methodology, their approach to discussing anime, more than the content of what they said. Now, in fairness, they did address the core issue with their method with the video. Rushing it to meet a deadline, pushing faster and faster, and, being superficial.
So not only was the entire concept of the video bad, but just the way we went about it was also terrible. We completely disrespected older anime by playing it in 2x speed and just making really bad jokes. And we didn't actually give a proper insight and analysis to these older anime that actually deserved one.
And not knowing that Goku had a tail.
And on top of that, the way we framed the video, especially the thumbnail, made it seem like we're doing an analysis when in reality, all we did was bash these shows for no reason.
The reason why the video turned out the way it did is because we were just downright lazy. And in all honesty, we just wanted to upload the video and meet a deadline.
We wanted to get the video over with, and instead of actually putting in any effort whatsoever, we kind of just resorted to rage baiting and really bad jokes.
And I will go on into specifics later because I think it's relevant to the discussion I'm going to have in this video, but I want to emphasize, it's media takes. It's not real life. When you turn off the computer, none of this matters. While I think it's still worth discussing my issues with the original video, it isn't as important as the big question I want to ask. How much is enough? When are we done fighting and arguing over what essentially is art? When do we reach the point with an apology where admitting they screwed up just isn't enough? Because I feel like online, we already assume all arguments are past that point by default. I want to start my discussion, ironically, at the end of their apology, where they mentioned a comment that cut deep to them.
There's this comment from the last video that actually hit really hard, and it not only perfectly deconstructed what we did wrong in that video, but it also just... Here, let me just read it out.
Have you even encountered an anime that changed your worldview? Any series that speaks to you? A character you resonate with? A scene you cried about?
It's clear they did not consider how their audiences felt about these older shows.
The Anime Men didn't start because we wanted clout, or the fame, or even the money. We started it because we were a group of friends who loved watching anime and making videos together. As cringy as it sounds, anime quite literally brought us all together. And this whole situation really made us realize how we've taken anime for granted.
The Anime Men, at least initially, thought probably they're just old shows. They're content that's no longer relevant. And maybe they still don't think it's relevant. Or at least not meaningful anyway. I can't speak for the actual opinions. The Anime Men's apology replaces dismissal of old shows with glazing of old shows. And it's clear that this is kind of them trying to show what we want to hear back at us. That's my big critique of it. I feel some of the reviews that they reiterate in this apology, it's kind of them saying what we want to hear back at us. And I don't think that's right either.
And at the end of the day, the video sucked. And instead of playing a ukulele and apologizing and moving on, we want to make things right.
So we decided to watch some of the most historical anime dating from before we were born, and give them the time and respect they deserve.
This is where everything began. I think we talked about Astro Boy a little bit in our old videos, so let's just check that real quick.
Absolute bottom of the barrel F tier.
F tier, bottom of F tier.
I looked at Astro Boy the way I would look at an anime nowadays, you know, as a shonen slop-loving goober. I was looking at Astro Boy how I would view something coming out like right now, which is honestly unfair because Astro Boy, it's anime history, and I disrespected it.
My original criticism was that they were dismissive of the shows, treating them more like content than art. And I don't know if I fully think that they don't see it as content. But I do think they're on the right track.
But if there's one thing that's never changed, it's that anime has always been a love letter to the world. From the old to the new, anime has always been an art form for these creators to express themselves.
I mean, look, they say that Speed Racer is valuable because it's your dad's favorite anime, basically.
So my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor always makes fun of me for watching anime. But the one anime he ever watched was Speed Racer. And when I texted him I was gonna watch it, he said one thing. Only one is good. Speed Racer. Dad.
Somebody.
Hey, do you know Speed Racer?
Yeah, what about it?
Oh, did you used to watch it?
It's good.
Alright, okay, bye. Yeah, see, Speed Racer, I promise you, it was a banger.
Ashita no Joe is referenced by everyone and sold a lot of volumes, and that's why it's important. Mazinger Z inspired Evangelion, and that's why that's important. And not Mazinger Z, Joe, or Speed Racer as anime in and of themselves that could bring you entertainment value. For a longtime fan, this frustrates me. Like, yeah, Mazinger Z is an inspiration for Eva, but it's also a good show in and of itself. It has its own merits that are worth discussing. But then I listened back to my stream, and I heard myself, in moments similar to that, echoing kind of what they said in their apology. In hindsight, some things that were just sounded like me glazing. Especially about Speed Racer, where I said it had fluid animation. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking there.
Stop crying, it won't do any good. And anyway, you have a lot of work to do, starting right now.
So what, should I give an apology for that too? For saying something incorrect about a show? Something I enjoyed? Should I apologize for that? I wouldn't. And granted, there are several points where I can still be critical about the original video. Especially about Sailor Moon, which I think they completely dismissed. Or Dragon Ball, which I think was a big oversight in their part. Evangelion, Gundam. I can go on. But why? I was motivated for a while to make a highlight reel so more people could hear my specific complaints. But why? What value would that actually have, reiterating old conflicts, reiterating an old drama? Well, simply put, I realized that me putting more anger and toxicity into the world towards people who apologized and were making an effort to improve didn't gel with what I think. I didn't really want to do that anymore. I felt unethical. I felt wrong. But sometimes it's a bad idea to respond to criticism, especially if it's justified and warranted. This Bacon guy, he happened to release a short video a while back about the movie Nimona. Nimona being the animated Oscar-nominated film. He refused to review Nimona because of the homosexual themes in the movie, and this caused backlash, justifiably so.
A while back, I made a rather controversial video. I usually review animated movies, and I'd been getting a lot of requests to review the Netflix movie Nimona. I declined reviewing that film because of its LGBT storyline and cited the reason as, I don't think that's the kind of content that should be shown to children. At the time, it was my most controversial video ever, but that time was a while back. The channel's come a long way since then.
However, over a year later, he decided to respond to the backlash by quote-unquote apologizing, but what that really meant was defending his homophobia and basically going on a long homophobic rant.
If you've ever wondered why Christianity seems to be known for its opposition to homosexuality, it's because that's found in the Bible. There's multiple different verses that either list it or mention it as a sin, including Leviticus 18:22, 1 Corinthians 6, 9-10, and 1 Timothy 9-10.
Bacon Guy then proceeded to compare being gay to smoking cigarettes. I'm not joking here.
That brings me to a question I hear all the time. Don't Christians hate gay people? I've heard that a lot in both real life and my own comment section, and the answer is no. Let's say you have a friend who smokes cigarettes. You know what they're doing won't end well. So do you hate them? Do you push them away because of their choices? No. You treat them like a human being. You treat them like your friend. Because they are. Now on the flip side, Do you affirm them in that choice? Do you tell them that they're so strong and so brave for smoking? No. If you truly believe that what they're doing isn't right, you wouldn't be a good friend if you lied to them and told them that they were in the right, even if that would make things easy. That's the weird balance Christians have to walk. You love your friends, but you don't affirm them in the things that the Bible says are sinful.
This did not go well in the animation community. On this channel, I've responded and engaged with people who unapologetically spout toxic and bad things. Your Lily Orchards, your Shadiversities, your Critical Drinkers, your Just a Robots. If they ever apologize for half the things they said, you would have some doubts. When they do apologize, it's only to keep you engaged in their content and watching. The YouTuber Just a Robot famously got in some hot water after defending child groomer Sinder, an artist who he had never met in person, but thought her avatar looked cute, so he decided to jump in the front lines of a drama he didn't understand to defend her, denying that any of the allegations, with a lot of evidence, had any merit. He got roasted very quickly, and in his apology, rather than, admit he was wrong, blamed everyone else. It was his friend's fault for leaking the video he was working on before he could properly finish researching it. The finished video that he had.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat things. I fucked up. I really dropped the ball on this situation. I can't even say that I was manipulated or enabled to get involved with the cine drama, because both my roommate and my girlfriend and even my neighbor told me that what I was doing was stupid and reckless. Even I knew that defending someone from the art CC with allegations this serious would more than likely go bad for me. I, along with everybody who was close to me, expected me to get some backlash, but not this much backlash. They're not even telling me they told me so because they didn't even expect it to get this bad. But before I get into what's going on and all the allegations against me, I would like to apologize to a few people.
It wasn't his fault, it was the internet's fault, it was someone else's fault, and you can tell he was dishonest when, after the apology went over terribly, he deleted it. He wasn't really sorry, he just wanted to quell the flames so he can get back to getting money from his work.
These last few months have been very chaotic, to say the least, and I know a lot of you have many questions. You're curious about my side of the story. Don't worry, I brought receipts. I know most people won't care for what I have to say. The tea has gone cold and they've moved on to talking about people like Mudahar and Nuxtaku. But at least you're here watching this unmonetized video of mine, so you don't have to even worry about giving me money by viewing this video. Or maybe you're just viewing this through someone else's live stream who's looking to farm a few more clicks off of me.
Just a Robot famously apologized for a ton of things. It was clearly a vain attempt to keep people watching his channel to make him money. He didn't feel actually authentically bad about it, he felt bad he got caught. But the Anime Men's apology feels different. I'm gonna play two clips you've already seen in this video already, but listen to how they frame it.
We aren't here to defend ourselves. The video we made was just outright garbage, and every person critiquing us is 1000% valid, and honestly, we deserve all the backlash that's coming to us, let's just be honest. Everyone is calling us fake anime fans, clout chasers, and most importantly, the T word. And although we disagree with those labels, the video makes them out to be 100% true, and we have no one else to blame but ourselves for that.
These last few months have been very chaotic, to say the least, and I know a lot of you have many questions. You're curious about my side of the story. Don't worry, I brought receipts.
In one case, the Anime Men take accountability for their actions and their video. In the other, Just a Robot promises receipts. One takes blame, one pushes blame away. One apology promises improvement, the other implies he did nothing wrong at all. They didn't have to say anything, but they chose to. The more I looked at the Anime Men's apology versus other, more infamous apologies, the more I realized they did something very different. They made an apology that worked. It's not without flaw, but it worked. They glazed these old shows, not necessarily because it was necessarily part of their content strategy. It's not. The target audience is actually much younger. But they chose to. And I think to an extent, yeah, they want to do it to keep their audience, sure. And I don't think it's necessarily good that they're glazing these old shows rather than engaging with them critically. But they're still engaging with them critically on some level, at least for them. It's a step in the right direction. And who am I to say that's bad? Who am I to say a content creator improving their style to show that they're listening to feedback is a bad thing? Who am I to criticize someone for saying, hey, we heard the feedback and, we're making a step in the right direction? How dare I tell them that's wrong? It's not a half-assed apology. There's a sincerity to it. Even though I'm sure a lot of it is just their usual style of showcasing and glazing and, their TikTok aesthetic, who am I to say that them taking the first steps on a longer path is bad? And indeed, the fact that I'm still not satisfied with their apology, I think, makes it more successful. They didn't just tell me what I wanted to hear entirely. If that were the case, they would have said, Sailor Moon's actually a really great show, and we're upset that we didn't talk about it right. That would have been fake to me. Instead, they stuck to the facts they can talk about. With Astro Boy, they talked about watching various old episodes and saying the show had a huge impact on anime history. With Speed Racer, they said, well, my dad really loved it. My trainer really loved it. They talked about shows they hadn't talked about, like Mazinger Z, and, very importantly, The Rose of Versailles, a manga that I think is one of the greatest manga of the 70s, and its adaptations tend to be pretty good too. A heavy influence on some of my all-time favorite shows, including Sailor Moon and Revolutionary Girl Utena. See, even I'm right now doing what I was just criticizing the anime men for doing a few seconds ago. And I'm doing it sincerely. As a fan, I know I'm a fan, but I'm doing the exact same thing I was just thoughtlessly criticizing them for. But would I apologize for that? No, because it's my honest opinion. So why would I criticize them for doing something similar to something I just did now? That'd be a double standard. Hypocrisy at its finest. I praise the anime men for taking a more academic, emotionally removed perspective. One that is different from the normal style. So long as an apology is paired with hard work, it matters. The reason why so many YouTube apologies fail is because they're lazy. There's no work put in behind the scenes. And this felt researched. They have quotes from actual academics. Yeah, maybe they borrowed their opinions from those academics, but they still did research. And that's more than I can say for a lot of people online. But it's not a one and done thing. I don't accept this apology as the end of the journey, it's the start of a journey. An apology is only as valuable as the work that's put into it afterwards. I talk a lot about how shonen anime mean a lot to young men. I think a big part of that is how the characters put effort into what they do. They train, they work, they persevere, they rise above, they see the limits ahead of them and crash through them and ascend to a new level. An apology is like that. It's the start of a journey, but every journey needs effort to continue on. And yeah, we talk about bad media takes, but creative discussion, critical analysis, it requires constant effort to become better at. It requires you to continue to push ahead. And I would know this because I myself have had some bad takes in the past. A few months ago, I did a video on Lilo and Stitch, the live action one. And while I don't apologize for not being as critical of it as other people are, I do apologize for my oversight working on it. Because when working on the video, I failed to discuss the pro-colonial messaging of the new film. I felt like I was not equipped to discuss it, and out of fear of doing it injustice, I shied away from touching it at all. And that was the wrong approach. To ignore that element of the remake was to ignore a huge chunk of the reason why so many people were upset by it. And I dismissed the controversy out of hand, saying there's nothing wrong really with the movie, it's serviceable, but ignored this big massive chunk of people who were deeply negatively affected by it. Not out of ignorance, but out of a refusal to be wrong, a fear of being wrong. And in doing so, I did a wrong to those people. So what do I do? Well, my first step was to make a new video myself, right afterwards, talking all about colonialism and post-Disney films, and I'm still working on it. But the thing is, I did not rush it, because the more I dug into the topic, the more I realized how complex the issue was, and that to rush an apology that quickly, it would have been a waste. And that's over something very different than what they were upset about. And mind you, that video did not go viral. I did not have Rubber Ross in my comment section telling me how I failed. I might have deleted the channel if I had that happen. But do you know what did happen with me? I kept making videos. New videos came out, and this one error of mine, this one mistake, this one oversight, massive oversight, yes, but an oversight all the same, faded into the background. While I'm still working on the follow-up video about colonialism, the channel continued, and the audience that I have amassed over the last couple of years stuck with me, because they knew that I would continue to do things that were worth watching. And because of that, I can't fault the anime men for what they did, because they're continuing the same thing I did. New material, new works, to demonstrate that they do understand and can learn and can grow, who am I to say that they are wrong while I did the same thing? And again, even talking about Mazinger Z, I was saying, I'm upset that they're using it as just an inspiration for Evangelion, which is one of my favorite animes, in fairness. But didn't I first watch Mazinger Z because it was one of the shows that inspired Evangelion? Wasn't that how I discovered it for the first time, back when I was like 14, 100 years ago? I mean, granted, it was either that or Super Robot Wars that got me into that show. I forget which one came first, but I digress. But the point remains, we start somewhere. And these kids started watching anime, many of them, in 2020. It's deeply unfair for me, someone who watched anime in the late 90s, to act like they should know everything I know about the medium. Just like it's unfair for someone who's older than me, with more experience than me, to tell me that I'm a tourist for not knowing as much as they know. That's how it is. When I was a kid, I'd be upset by that. Deeply so. I have decades of experience of interest in anime. Why should I act like someone who's new to the genre, relatively new anyway, should know everything I know, especially about shows that are older, that they didn't experience at the time? And again, it's anime. A couple of kids disrespecting Lupin III won't affect me when I walk outside and touch grass. The reason this apology video works is because the anime men didn't do anything actually illegal or harmful to anyone. They just didn't like a couple of anime I like. They didn't pull an Onision. They didn't actually destroy anime or hurt people. All of this reminds me a little bit of a controversy in the anime community a few months prior, that being the controversy surrounding VTuber Sinder, a VTuber who undermined her friends, supposedly, in order to retain an artist that she personally wanted to exclusively work for her, and in the process, behind the scenes, sabotaged multiple business deals with other VTubers, most notably Bao the Whale.
What we can conclude, Nano's document. Redacted is Sinder's mouthpiece. Confirmed Sinder knew everything Redacted said. Red/Sin were attempting to monopolize an editor/artist against their desires. Guilt-tripped and manipulated them into doing their work and no one else's. What Sinder's doing isn't fucked up to do to one's competition. However, doing it to their friend is a whole different story. Redacted gaslighting Nanoless using revisionist history.
And this may seem silly on the surface, VTuber drama, but this was massive. This is business espionage behind the scenes. This is attacks on people who trusted her. This is two-faced behavior. This is cutthroat. This actually hurt someone.
When my model was canceled, I was literally recovering from surgery, and how could I have been scheming to take your career down at that time when I was quite literally bedridden? And so, I looked at it when I read your apology. I just wanted to know if you had ever thought of me as a close friend, or if it was just one-sided or not. I feel like I still didn't know by the end of reading your apology. And that really fucking sucks.
The anime men not liking Inuyasha because they watched it in Spanish wouldn't cause something like this to happen. However, despite this, now Cinder's being welcomed back with open arms.
If you don't know, yesterday was Cinder's birthday. So again, obviously a lot of people were wishing her happy birthday. I think also the Discord opened up a channel literally just for birthday wishes. So obviously a lot of people have been sending them over and just being very supportive. And then obviously Cinder actually responded to this saying thank you for the birthday wishes, heart. And obviously there's been a lot of emotes and stuff. People were very happy to see her back. Now, obviously, this is the second time that we've seen Cinder back since the entire thing went on, and obviously, yeah, it's insane to see her, back. I don't know, it just feels weird, but at the same time, I'm not too against it. I think that obviously, although Cinder did some pretty bad stuff, right, if she was to come back to the community, I think that, as long as she doesn't do any of the stuff that she tried to pull last time, then, I don't really care.
Despite having demonstrated no growth, demonstrated no actual learning being done. Instead, she made an apology that threw her manager, who's also her boyfriend, under the bus for all wrongdoing, absolving herself of anything that she did wrong, even though none of her co-VTubers bought it. And in fact, some found the apology so distasteful, it made them even more angry.
For her to post a block of text where 3/4 of it is just explaining her side, aka PR move. And then the first I'm sorry is 5 pages down. It's fucking pathetic. For her to summarize everything in like a document and be like, oh, I'm sorry that... She basically said, I'm sorry you feel this way. That's how the document came off to me. I'm sorry that you feel this way. I'm sorry that, like, here's what I did, but I'm sorry you felt that way. I'm sorry that, like, my manager made you feel that way. And literally be like, oh, but she means it though. No, f off. I don't want to hear it. I literally don't want to f***ing hear it. I don't want to f***ing hear it, okay?
And the thing is, I think YouTube apologies are not made equally, but we treat them like content. We treat them like a new event every time they come around. I've seen rankings of YouTube apologies to see how much ukuleleing they can put in, you know?
So a lot of people are saying some things about me that aren't quite true. Doesn't matter if it's true though, just as long as it's entertaining to you.
How much they can performatively apologize to their audience without actually saying anything meaningful. Brad Taste in Music does a 50-minute freestyle rap about how he abused his ex-girlfriend, or Colleen Ballinger pulls out a ukulele to apologize for being a child groomer. Neither person actually is apologizing. They're just trying to do something performative that draws your attention just a little bit, for a little bit of ad revenue right before they get booted out of YouTube entirely. It's impossible to say that either party really thought that anyone would actually buy these inane, ridiculous performative apologies, but they make for content, and content is the name of the game on this website. If you make a good apology, it becomes something that people will click on again and again. Continual ad flow. You don't even have them pretending they intend on growing. I can take a ukulele all day and play it around, but what does it matter? To take accountability as things are needed. That's what matters. Apologies are not enough. The effort that follows them is what matters. Take the mysterious Mr. Enter, another YouTuber who had a couple of bad media takes and the internet grilled him for it, much like the Anime Men.
This film takes place less than a year after the September 11th terrorist attacks. I bring this up because it radically altered the culture of the time, in ways that make this movie feel exceptionally ignorant of the time.
But I've been grateful to say I've talked to Mr. Enter. He went from a guy who made a couple of dumb takes about turning red into someone who helped an investigation exposing lies told by another YouTuber. False accusations against Saberspark.
This is the YouTuber IloveKimPossibleALot, also known as KP. Real name Rachel. The only time that you probably heard of her this decade was last year. Courtney Pete appeared on the internet. She is the sister of the controversial and debatably human Lily Orchard. Courtney gave her personal account of everything that her sister allegedly did to her. It was a lot. It was her most viewed video in years. Rachel had been hyping up a new video. A lot. Tweets and community posts galore. KP began saying that she had career-ruining allegations towards Saberspark. At present, he has 2 million subscribers and was the first cartoon channel to cross the 1 million subscriber mark. Practically speaking, he's the largest member of the cartoon community. And even more surprising for a channel of his size, with a few exceptions, he didn't really have any controversies to speak of.
KP very famously released an alleged account of assault committed by Saberspark. Not her own allegations, of course, someone else's allegations. Emu Emmy, the person who made the allegations, was proven very quickly to be unreliable as a source of information, especially when Saberspark's text came out and contradicted the entire story, proving it was a very different situation, one of consensual friendship with benefits rather than assault as originally described. Mr. Enter thoroughly researched the story and found things were not as they seemed. Alongside Becca from Cope and Seethe and Lazy Bedhead, both of whom deserve credit for their investigative skills as well. All of them did the work. Ultimately, it was Saberspark who revealed that these lies about him were in fact lies, but Mr. Enter helped. He was a supporter. He investigated. He brought forward information that was vital to solving this case.
These text messages prove that far from Emily's statements to Mr. Enter that she was pulling away from Saberspark having realized that he was in some way abusive, the opposite is true. It was Saberspark who pulled away from Emily.
He became a joke to someone who is an investigator, who lives up to his iconic appearance in a trench coat and hat like an old noir detective. But again, Mr. Enter only had bad media takes. And he took accountability for them, like the anime man. He didn't spread stories about someone he didn't like, say, someone who made the video that he had to disprove. Mr. Enter, Beckett, and Lazy Bedhead were all responding to a single video made by one user, IloveKimPossibleALot. In her vindictive 90-minute, 2-hour video, I forget how long it is, she deleted it anyway, she rambles on about accusations against various people on the internet, the most famous of which, of course, is the assault allegations against Saberspark. But KP didn't vet the allegations, she just put them out uncritically to target someone who she didn't like, because she bore a grudge against Saberspark, and had no issue uncritically slipping in an allegation at the end of a video that she had already been making with the intention of putting Saberspark in a very bad light. It exists just to humiliate people she didn't like. That's it. There's no other reason for it. She spread a story that by the way, she also edited the supposed victim's account along with her co-writer in order to frame Saberspark in the worst light because she personally was bitter towards Saberspark. While working on this video, KP released a follow-up to that infamous video of hers where she attempts to apologize. But for what? Well, she apologizes for making bad jokes, not because they were in poor taste or offensive, but because she deals with scary and disturbing things in a funny way, that's why.
I make dark jokes and make light of my own situations, something I didn't realize was not universal and might come off as if the tone pertained to anyone's experiences that weren't my own. And I do want people to understand that it was directed at my own experiences, but I'm sorry that it didn't translate properly.
She decided to throw her co-writer, Courtney Pete, under the bus to take the blame for any flaws in the presentation.
Another thing I'd like to personally address is Courtney Pete and her treatment of another CSA survivor in the live chat of the video premiere. I've spoken to both Courtney and the affected individual, apologize on Courtney's behalf, and going forward, since she doesn't want to apologize herself, I'm cutting public ties with her. While I can't control the actions of another grown individual, I can control how and if she is associated with my work and channel.
She refused to back down on any of her claims, even though the allegations were proven to be false, and in fact scrambled up her allegations, conflating different people's actions with each other. And at the end of it, she tries to frame it so that Saberspark's defense is actually proof of wrongdoing.
His own admission of trying to force a woman to take a pregnancy test against her will is not seen as a violation of consent, privacy, and bodily autonomy, but instead as a horrible event he was made a victim of by the girl he had targeted.
Into the convention on a Sunday, I remember going over to her hotel, being like, we have to get this test. Like, I need to know the answer before I head home, so I can know what's going on. I got the pregnancy test, came back, and I'm like, please, can you take this? And she goes, okay, because it was time's up. And she said, okay, I'll do it. And she took it, and it was negative. And I remember afterwards, I was like almost dumbstruck with relief. At that point, I started forming this opinion in my head where I'm like, did she just baby scare me to keep me in her life? That was the emotion surging through my head, along with relief.
Admissions of being where he was accused of being and when are not painted as plausibility that what he is accused of is true. Instead, is painted as proof that he is telling the truth and the accused victim is lying for clout. For objective coverage of what was supposed to be a serious situation, there seems to be a lot of sweeping for Steven. Standards that myself and Emily were and continue to be held to are not standards that he needs to meet.
She didn't apologize because she wasn't sorry whatsoever. In fact, she didn't apologize at all.
When it came to other people's coverage of the situation, whether or not they had spoken to me in person, a lot of my intent with the video and what I chose to platform in it was assumed. Concerns to me that are still much legitimate were and continue to be brushed off as clout chasing or jealous woman scorn mentality. People who have never spoken to me or heard my side of anything spoke with absolute authority on my intentions and desires, and people who did speak to me in person painted our conversations in a different light when presenting them to our own respective audiences. This led to a good number of people speaking down to me, harassing me, and sending me death threats largely based on the assumption that I was a bitter, jealous, stupid woman targeting an innocent, successful, intelligent man for the sin of not dating me. To which I'd like to respond by saying, Steven, I'm just not that into you.
Oh, I think I left out a key detail. Shortly after the video debuted, several members of KP's team privately messaged Saberspark to inform them that they knew the accusations were false the entire time. This was days after the initial video was dropped.
I have gotten permission from Saberspark to share these. I had asked. So, this is a person who is allegedly on KP's team. I'm gonna read this for you, chat, because it seems like some people were doing some damage control behind the scenes. May 12th. Dear Saber, I realize that this may come off as disingenuous, but I really hope this email finds you well. My name is blank. We have cut out that person's name specifically because like they're not a part of this, yada yada. And I'm one of Rachel's / KP's friends, mods, and I contributed to some parts of the aforementioned video about you and DA Games. Recently, we were made aware that the allegations against you in that video are false, and that person who pretended to be a victim of yours has tried to do this with multiple other YouTubers before. We all feel terrible about this and wanted to reach out to you right away to discuss where we go from here. Now, there's a follow-up email sent on, I believe, the 17th of May, saying, "Good afternoon, Saber. I hope your weekend is off to a good start. I just want to let you know that KP and I have begun the process of making up a follow-up video. We both value your input, so if you could find the time to schedule a call with me, it would be much appreciated. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns." So yes, chat.
Okay.
Wait, what's that? What's that? KP wanted Saber to approve her follow-up video so it would make her look better? Oh, is that what this former person that knows her is alleging? Huh. Crazy, chat.
And KP is, to this day, still arguing the allegations are real. It wasn't because she felt accountability for her actions. She apologized because the video didn't work. It didn't humiliate her target. She wasn't sorry. She was upset she didn't succeed. And this after KP had previously gotten into controversy for not paying her editors. Despite her entire channel existing from the effort of multiple editors collaborating together, she did not pay them, and in fact put them through conditions that I say, as someone who now works with editors, completely inhumane and completely cruel. She was only concerned about being perceived as good rather than doing something good, rather than look inward and take accountability for their actions. And those that did take accountability, I can name a few of them, I've spoken to a few of them, and they've done the work to improve both themselves and remedy some of the harm they might have contributed to. Those who took accountability have demonstrated their accountability in spades. Those who have not, this platform is designed to pit us against each other. Once you touch grass, you realize that the perceived differences on this platform about movies aren't all that big of a deal. And so, why would I continue to put these kids through stress? Why? Why would I do that? Yeah, the original vid sucks. It does. I still think it sucks. Hell, I don't even think their apology is all that great, but they apologize and are demonstrating an effort to improve. When I disappointed my audience with the Lilo and Stitch video, I felt extremely broken up about it. I felt really guilty about it, and I sought to make things better. The easy way would have been to make a quick apology and retract it or hide the video, whatever, but I didn't want to do that because that would be dishonest. What I did instead was improve every single video after that to be better. And a lot of people I know I've spoken to who have had similar experiences did the same thing. The first step is the initial response, but what actually makes an apology effective is continuing afterwards. I believe everyone can improve if they work to do so, if they put the effort in. And so while I'm critical of the specifics of the Anime Man's apology, while I'm critical of many apologies, I will never, if I feel they are sincere, mock them. Because they are a learning experience. And if we mock those who genuinely apologize, all we're doing is discouraging growth. I think it's time we lowered the temperature just a bit.
Food in the 7 seas!
There I am, Gary. There I am.
You are a bunch of
f***ing tourists.